So why did they terminate me? We still wondering why.
I mean, it wasn't a legal firing. My performance was good. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing.
Well, folks, the irony of the "you're fired" guy firing thousands of federal employees only to have it backfire on him spectacularly is not lost on me. However, whether out of pure ignorance or blatant disregard, it is somehow lost on Donald Trump, who is now facing massive backlash from not only his own supporters that were fired.
I was a Trump supporter, and I thought that someone with like his business acumen would have come in with a fine-tooth comb and actually found it, instead of coming in with a wrecking ball and destroying people's lives for no reason.
But also many veterans who were cruelly and unceremoniously let go under suspicious circumstances as well. And now they are all speaking out. And we'll get to this cathartic prime example of around and finding out / I never thought the leopards would eat my face in just a minute. But in order to end on a cathartic note, let's start with the people who Trump has been screwing over the most, even since as far back as his comments about John McCain: veterans.
Well, joining us tonight is Nelson Feliz Sr., a 30-year Army veteran who served as a first sergeant and spent more than a decade working for the Department of Veteran Affairs until he got a notice that he was being let go just a week ago. Nelson, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm sorry about the difficult situation that you're in right now. Tell us, what type of work did you do for the VA?
MSA work. Now I was working in a hospital doing background investigation for the VA.
I gotcha. Yeah, important work. I'm sure you enjoyed doing it for 10 years. I know you wrote a letter appealing your termination. Tell us about it. How did you find out you were being let go, and what reason were you given?
Well, I didn't find out because my normal work hours were during the week. So Friday I was off. So they were calling me, but I had my phone on vibrate. It was Valentine's Day and little family time. And then I got a phone call from one of my coworkers and told me, hey, you need to look at your email and see what's happened. So then I found out that at 7 p.m. they sent me a letter saying that I was terminated. And that just...
Right. And as if finding out from a letter on Valentine's Day that you've been terminated from your tenure position wasn't bad enough, just wait till you hear the reasoning behind this poor man's termination.
Yeah, shocking, I'm sure, to see that. Did they say it was for performance, or did they give you any type of reason, or did they just say you're out?
They just took it random, and everybody that they sent this letter to said it was performance. But there's a form called 0750 that will show that was incorrect. Plus, I had tenure. I have 11 years, and in May, I'll have 12 years. So they didn't look at that. So in their letter that said that they were going to keep people that were tenured and were meeting their performance. So they have files to show. So why did they terminate me? We still wondering why. But still, this has created a psychological disruption for one who serves over 30 years as a first sergeant, and 11 years with the VA. I feel betrayed by these actions.
Not only does this have very real consequences for the well-being of people laid off in this fashion, it also obviously affects the work these agencies are able to do. And those sentiments of well-being and agencies being able to do their jobs was explicitly expressed by our next victim of his own vote, Robert McCabe, who was one of the thousands of probationary IRS employees who were laid off on Thursday.
Tell me what happened today.
So, I mean, I went in at my normal time. When I arrived there, everybody was in a very downtrodden mood. And when I went to my computer, everybody was having some technical issues. Like none of our computers were really loading up either the programs that we needed to operate or like Teams. Some were having trouble, some were able to log in. It was very, very chaotic. There was no organization to it at all.
And before we get to the rest of his story, it's become pretty clear that letting Elon Musk literally run amok with a chainsaw in the federal government is not working out well for anyone. especially when you consider how the IRS layoffs could hurt revenue collection and foil the efforts to go after rich tax dodgers, according to experts and anyone with a prefrontal cortex. And this insightful look at what's actually going on beyond the headlines is courtesy of our sponsor today, Ground News, a website and app developed by a former NASA engineer on a mission to give readers an easy, data-driven, objective way to read the news. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of the political bias, factuality, and ownership of the source's reporting, all backed by ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations. And I've specifically found immense usefulness and often a little bit of humor out of the Ground News blind spot feature that highlights stories that are disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. And this is so important so we don't live in an echo chamber and get misled by subtle and sometimes not so subtle language in the news. So try out Ground News today by clicking the link on screen in the description or by scanning that QR code on the screen. And if you sign up through our link, you'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, which is what we at Really American use to get unlimited access to all features. By doing so, not only are you supporting the channel and Ground News' work, but also arming yourself with knowledge and information that is utterly crucial in today's news media landscape.
And basically we just sat around for the rest of the day. I mean, talk about government efficiency. We literally sat there and did nothing all day long while we waited for our fate. You know, I mean, it was an illegal firing. My performance was good. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I was even one of those government employees that went every day of the week. I had to report every Monday through Friday, 7 to 3:30. That was my tour duty, and that's what I served. And what occurred today across the country is not going to help the job market.
What do you make of the Trump administration's actions?
I did support him. I was a Trump supporter. When he talks about government waste and all that, yes, I'm behind it. I believe there is a lot of stuff in the government that needs fixing. And that's part of the reason why I actually wanted to work for the government, actually, to help change the things that are wrong in the world, you know? And I thought that someone with like his business acumen would have come in with a fine-tooth comb and actually found it, instead of coming in with a wrecking ball and destroying people's lives for no reason.
And while his story is less sympathetic because he did vote for Trump, it's important to remember that he is far from the only person that these cuts are affecting. And I'm sure you'll all have thoughts on that in the comments, and you feel free to share. But the questions I'd like to pass off to you as well. One, do you think this backlash out on the news against Republicans at their own town halls, do you think it is enough to actually have an effect and slow down this administration? Or do you think the damage is already done and they'll just keep going down this path until the damage is beyond repair? And secondly, do you think that pointing these things out and showing these real case examples of Trump supporters, veterans, real red-blooded Americans, I guess, getting fired, getting hurt with complete disregard from Trump's administration is a good tool to try to convert the non-totally insane Trump supporters in the MAGA sphere? I'd love to hear all your thoughts and comments on those questions down below. And if you too would like to stop Trump and his administration from gutting our agencies, our aid, our federal employees, our veterans, then by all means, support the channel by dropping a like, subscribing to the Really American Media Network, and checking out our sponsor, Ground News, for a more data-driven approach to analyzing the news. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.